NBCSN, your home of motorsport, welcomes you to America's heartland for the Iowa Corn 300 here at Iowa Speedway. It's the 13th round of the 2015 Verizon IndyCar Series on a beautiful night here in Iowa. And as you can see, there are plenty of people ready to see what we've already seen this year, and that is plenty of action in the Verizon IndyCar Series. Ready to get things going already now. This is the 9th consecutive year of IndyCar racing on this oval, and there is James Hinchcliffe continuing his miraculous comeback. He's got one more surgery to have done, and then he really begins his rebuilding program to getting back in an IndyCar. He wishes his fill-in driver, Ryan Briscoe, all the best. There's a man who won on an oval for the first time in his career just a few weeks ago at Auto Club Speedway, Fontana. So, I want to bring your attention to something pretty cool. JPM, Juan Pablo Montoya, has led every step of the way this year. As far as complete champions, Bourdais, Hornish Jr., Johnny Rutherford, Al Unser, and AJ Foyt, only 5 since 1956, have led the entire way. Can JPM, Juan Pablo Montoya, do that? Well, you wouldn't be surprised, because he's just that kind of driver, he's that kind of guy, and he's had that kind of career. Are you ready to get things going? Sure, let's do it.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome President of Iowa Corn Promotion Board, Chris Edgington, to give the command.
Drivers, start your Iowa Corn ethanol-powered engines!
Now there's a man who's passionate about his product and his company.
Can't fault him. I mean, we're in corn country, but these guys are going to battle tonight. You can see everybody's so focused. It is a war in front of these guys. Long way to go to do 300 laps here, Paul.
Tell you what, it's going to be a heck of a first corner. I look for Kanaan. Watch him go rodeo style and make a move on the outside. I think he's going to want to assert himself like he did last year, get it in the lead and control the pace.
There's something about this track and Tony Kanaan. Now, mind you, the pole sitter, Helio Castro-Neves, has had a very good history here as well, but nobody has led more laps than TK, Tony Kanaan. This place just suits Tony's driving style, and he knows, there he is right there. He just knows how to get in the groove right from the word go. He led both practice sessions and was incredibly quick. He just got pipped by Helio Castro-Neves for the P1 pole award. We need to remind you not to miss a chance on getting in on Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes by entering at shophonda.com. Tonight's lucky winner, taking the ride along there with Connor Daly on the right-hand side, is Kathy Ramsey from Athens, Alabama. How is it, Kathy? I think we found out.
Oh my God! I gotta get me one of these.
Well, we wish you all the best. We'll put you in contact with someone at Honda, and maybe they can help you out. And remember what Paul Tracy told you. Just keep smiling, all right? Keep breathing. Keep smiling. And a reminder that Kathy was able to do that by going to shophonda.com to get the opportunity of starting a Verizon IndyCar Series race. And again, Connor Daly, who did 5 or 6 races this year and is doing some sports car racing as well, he is leading the field. All right, let's walk you through. We're going to bring you some pretty cool camera angles tonight. Ryan Briscoe, who's been in the thick of it lately, with thanks to Lucas Oil, will give us this view aboard his Schmidt-Peterson Honda. Tony Kanaan sitting on the front row with thanks to NTT Data will have this view, and you can see the sun there making an impact, having an impact, but that won't last for too much longer. MyJack Products gives us this view aboard the number 15 Steak and Shake MyJack entry for Graham Rahal, championship contender. He is just 1 point out of the top 3. Let's see what he can do. And can this man here, Ryan Hunter-Reay, get his 3rd victory in 4 years here? He's won 2 of the last 3, and Verizon gives us this view for RHR. The Novolog Flex Pen car is this one here, part of Chip Ganassi's squad, and it's Charlie Kimball, who is the pilot of the 83, ready to do work and perhaps ready to eclipse his best result of the year of 3rd at the Indianapolis 500. We'll see what Charlie and his crew can do tonight. And our Verizon streaming car, it is the number 20 Chevrolet of Ed Carpenter from CFH Racing. It's Adrenaline on Demand. Download the IndyCar 15 mobile app to get amazing live streams from in-car cameras and a whole lot more. You know where? It's only from Verizon. So, 1 lap to go. We will pack up, grid up, and go racing. And as Townsend and Paul said a little earlier, 300 laps around here. Sure, it might not be the biggest speedway in America, but this is hard work. And the pace is fast. To give you an idea, qualifying just over 17 seconds, just over 180 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that track temperature in the lower left-hand corner of your screen is going to be a big deal as the sun goes down. It's going to cool. Cars will go faster.
Championship contender Helio Castro-Neves is on the pole, and he's keen to get going. Kanan is on the outside. Do we see green? No, we don't. It's waved off.
And a little bit of a jump start by Castro-Neves. I think he was ready for Kanan to try to make a move and said, I'm out of here, and the starter wasn't having it.
And we saw that at Milwaukee. If you remember, on a restart, they wouldn't throw the green when Bourdais got an early jump. So the race control at IndyCar having none of the early enthusiasm.
Well, listen, one of the members of race control in the Verizon IndyCar Series is Jim Swintel, who was a starter for many years himself. Let's see if we can do it this time. The Iowa Corn 300 is go! And going out wide is Marco Andretti. He wants that high line and brings it back down. Newgarden on the inside, right in the middle of the track. Here comes Kanan on the inside of Helio Castro-Neves for the lead.
Pushing the inside. He wants that lead. He wants to control the pace. Castro-Neves fighting back on the outside.
Look who's in behind. Here comes Scott Dixon. Dixon and Kanan owned this place last year, and in a split second it's going to be a Ganassi 1-2.
And already you can see the strength of the Ganassi team at this Iowa Speedway. Kanan has checked out. Fastest car in both practice sessions. Dixon gets the position, and now Castro-Neves is urgently trying to get back by.
These two are fighting for the championship themselves. They are second and third. As they run in the race, they run in the championship.
This is good stuff. This is what you're going to see all night, and as the temperature cools down, like Townsend said, the racing's going to get closer. There'll be more side-by-side. Right now, we're just getting into the beginning of the first stint. Everybody wants to settle down and see what mileage is. Montoya makes a move around another one of the Ganassi cars in Sage Karam.
Racing in an IndyCar for the first time at Iowa Speedway is Sage Karam. Let's ride with Graham Rahal.
And he is in a big hurry to try to make positions. Everybody in the top 5 starting up front, but not Graham Rahal. He started 17th. He's currently 16th. And he's having a heck of a time trying to find some clean air and work his way through the field.
Up high on the groove. He's way up top, and he looks already like he's a little bit loose, checking the throttle there. And see that? A little loose on the exit, so not a good way to start.
So difficult to be that far back in all that turbulent air. And just like at Milwaukee with Castro-Neves, Graham Rahal has to be careful that he doesn't go a lap down early. The leaders will catch them fast.
Firestone telemetry giving us some important numbers. Here is Simon Pagenaud in the yellow Penske entry alongside Carlos Munoz of Andretti Autosport. These guys are fighting over the 10th position. Pagenaud was credited with it for that lap, and Munoz is not giving up very easily. He now is an IndyCar race winner after the Detroit doubleheader, winning the opening race there in Motortown. Now Pagenaud sweeps around the outside. Pagenaud's got an interesting story to tell from this point of the championship on. He and his race engineer Ben Bretzman are kind of going out on a seek and explore mission on behalf of the team to try and help the other 3 drivers, in particular Juan Pablo Montoya, win this championship.
And I don't think that would be voluntary. I think that would be a directive coming from the top at Team Penske. And Paul, you'd know better than anybody. They say to Pagenaud, you're the guinea pig, go out and test setup.
Tight outside move. We got a yellow. We got a car on the wall, and I think it's Montoya.
It is. The championship leader is out.
Oh,
wow. Juan Pablo Montoya, who has had almost the perfect season to date, finally has something go wrong.
Oh, wow. Suspension broke, and he's got to hustle out of there. There's a decent little oil fire there on the right-hand side. Interesting.
This changes everything from now with 4 races to go.
And a double points paying race at the end. People remarked on his consistency. Not necessarily luck, just the amazing run that JPM had this year. Perhaps it's the law of averages. Something had to happen at some time, and it has for the Indy 500 winner in a big style.
Well, we'll have to see if we have a replay of this. I trust the instinct of Montoya that his suspension broke, and we're watching top corner of your screen. Yeah.
The car just took off straight, almost like you would see a NASCAR cut a tire down. He was right in the center of the corner, and the car just went straight on him.
And you can see the sparks.
Yeah, you can see the sparks. It's on the ground. Something broke. Montoya telling what happened. That's devastating.
And that was right at the exit of turn 2. We're on board with Hunter-Reay. Let's watch ahead.
That is a hard hit.
I wonder if the bump in between 1 and 2 might have been the tipping point for whatever failure that he had, because that's, you know, a lot of vertical load as the car settles through there. 2
years in a row, his only 2 appearances at Iowa Speedway have both ended in the same fashion. That is in the wall and out of the race.
And I'll tell you one thing, guys. There is no cars in the paddock that are prepared better than the Penske cars, so this could become an issue.
And 2 years in a row for Montoya. This was last year. Montoya trying to look up the inside of Ed Carpenter. Hard into the fence there. Jan?
Sebastian Bourdais coming in to get his service as well. We watch. And in the meantime, I'd also checked in with Brian Campy, who is the engineer for Juan Pablo Montoya. They say that the data does not come in quickly enough to know what broke on the car. They may have that information afterwards, but for now they say the tire was up, but something definitely went wrong up front.
Folks, this is huge. This is huge. Championship leader. We told you at the top of the show, he's led every step of the way. Juan Pablo Montoya out of the race. He has completed all but 1 lap this season. It has been incredible. Of 1,557 laps, he's completed 1,556 before the green flew today. Montoya, the points leader, out. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Iowa Corn. Our state, our fields, our ethanol. And by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger. Proud sponsor of the number 15 and Graham Rahal. NBCSN's live coverage of the Verizon IndyCar Series. We welcome you back to the Iowa Corn 300. And boy, what a start and what a championship turning point. Juan Pablo Montoya, the points leader, is out of the race. Robin Miller is with him.
First of all, you all right?
Yeah, a little bruise in my hand, but it's not a big deal. Just disappointing. You know, Verizon Chevy got a good car. It's a little loose the first couple laps. I just really taking it easy and buying my time, and you know.
It looked like Townsend and Paul said, it looked like a right front in NASCAR, and it went straight right. No warning?
No, something broke. I mean, as soon as I loaded up, something gave up. I don't want to say anything until I know what happened.
The bump, is the bump probably the culprit, or?
No, I was running high. It was way before the bump. So as soon as I put wheel on it, it loaded up and the car just went right.
You know, you figure during the season you're going to have 1 or 2 bad races, but this is the first time you've had any hiccup all year.
Yeah, it sucks when it's completely out of our hands, you know, when something fails. Be good to know what happened.
We're glad you're all right. Kevin?
Graham Rahal hasn't been able to make a whole lot of ground up at this point, but he did dodge one. He hit some debris, and he was afraid that he had an issue after that crash.
I'm getting the car working pretty good up high in 1, 2, 3, 4. Car's a bit loose, following, kind of what I expected. It's just with guys all spread out, it's hard.
And he hit something, and he was afraid he was going to lose tire pressure in the right front. They checked it, everything's okay, so they stayed out. He also said, I think when the sun goes down, that's going to play to our advantage, so don't totally count out Graham Rahal yet.
Starting in 17th, and you may remember Fontana is exactly where he started and went to the top of the podium. There's going to be significant championship swing here points-wise with Montoya out. He will get 6 points for finishing in 24th position. For Scott Dixon, there's 52 points on offer because there's 53 in a full weekend. Castro Neves got the bonus point for pole. There's 52 for Dixon if he can maximize. However, he will not be able to get enough to jump into the lead of the championship. Juan Pablo Montoya will still leave Iowa tonight as the Verizon IndyCar Series points leader, heading to Mid-Ohio in a couple of weeks' time. Wow, what a turning point. This is dramatic. This is the time when people like Scott Dixon, Elio Castro Neves have to capitalize.
Well, and I wonder if it changes at all the dynamic between Tony Kanaan and Scott Dixon. Coming into this race, it was all about Kanaan trying to help Dixon win the championship. With a massive point swing with Montoya out, does Kanaan start to think to himself, hey, I might actually have an outside chance?
Well, here comes Bourdais. He's going to top up again, it looks like, go on a completely different strategy to everybody. Jan?
Yes, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're just going to take the opportunity, as long as they don't have the track position, to go ahead and just top off, be full of fuel. It just gives you more options. So you stay, you maintain basically your same position, you have more fuel. It doesn't mean he necessarily is going to go farther. It means on his next stop, he won't have to stay here as long for fuel.
Now going back to Kanaan and Dixon, you would hate to see team tactics and things manipulating a win. I think Kanaan's going to go for it tonight. He's desperate for a win so far this year.
And it was interesting to see the honesty, and I won't name names, but the guys at KVSH Racing having a little laugh with themselves and saying, it may not have been outstanding strategy at Milwaukee. We may have had a little bit of luck on our side, but we'll take it. At the end of the day, Bourdais drove unbelievably. As we take a look at our Iowa Corn biggest movers in the early stages of this race, and Justin Wilson leaping 6 places early on to put himself up into 12th. And you know what? If Andretti can turn around tonight and make a result, make something good about this, don't discount Justin Wilson.
I don't think you can discount Justin Wilson at any racetrack on the IndyCar schedule. One of the more experienced drivers, and he always seems to find a way to race his way to the front when he's given a chance. It's nice to see him get the opportunity to finish off the season with Andretti, and I'm sure they're appreciative of everything he brings to the table through all those years.
Just giving you an idea of who's got what as far as onboard cameras and the views and the various views that we can supply you here at Iowa Speedway. This guy here, Ed Carpenter, is carrying our Verizon streaming camera. He really wants to make some big work and some big moves tonight. He wants a decent result. Ed Carpenter is extremely frustrated with season 2015 thus far. Ready to crank it up. Here we go, Iowa Speedway. First caution is over. Ganassi 1-2. Kanaan, look at the back there as Andretti tries to force his way through on Sage Karam. That red car right there is the rookie, and the yellow one immediately behind is Marco.
Oh!
Simon Pagenaud,
Coletti.
there's a crash. Coletti ducks and dives. He goes to the inside.
That was almost a massive, massive crash. Coletti got into it with somebody coming off of turn 2. He had the big death wiggle going on.
He's not missing
He
any
saved
parts, but there was there's certainly somebody's missing something because there was parts flying. They were really close to the wall coming off.
Who hit
and there's somebody's rear bumper, it looks like, but
Kimball, front left.
yeah.
This will decipher it a little bit. Look to the right of your screen. Look to the right and look up high. Kimball and Rahal and Coletti.
And there's just not enough room, Lee, because Coletti was washing up high. Kimball had nowhere to go, had to move up, and Graham was working the outside. On board with Graham Rahal.
That was pretty much an empty hole. Graham just swept around the outside and closed that hole off, and before Kimball knew it, he was there.
And look at how quickly this happened, just like that. And you know what Graham Rahal has told us in the past, and I want to think back to Fontana, if I see a gap, I'm going for it.
Well, he had every right to go for that. He had a big run going, and you can't plan for what might happen down below you. I think his car's okay. It didn't look like there was any heavy contact.
So, full course caution number 2, and we can say that this is just the worst of it. Debris on track. No major incident. However, it does impact Charlie Kimball, the 83 Novo Nordisk Novolog car. Will have to come in for a new front wing assembly.
Be interesting to see if more guys take this strategy. You know, for sure, Bourdais being last in line will come in again. Why not?
Look at this, look at this.
Oh. Looking at Simon Pagenaud, he got really loose coming out of turn 4.
That was Carlos Munoz just clipping his.
On board with Charlie Kimball.
Watch the walls close in.
We're strong on the outside, outside.
Well, he got the information, but it was too late to do anything.
Okay? Wing.
That's the voice of Barry Waddell, long-time spotter in the Verizon IndyCar Series and driver coach. Been around open wheel racing for a long, long time. And immediately saying to Charlie, you okay? All right? Well, he is, but his car and his front wing is not. How about our Verizon P1 pole sitter, Elio Castro Neves, third at the moment, trailing Kanaan and Dixon in the early stages of the Iowa Corn 300. Quick reminder that you can watch tonight's IndyCar race online at NBCSports.com on mobile and tablets with NBC Sports Live Extra. Isn't that a beautiful shot? It's been pretty hot and humid here in the Heartland, I have to tell you, but tonight it's cooling off and it's a beautiful evening to go racing. And this guy here, Tony Kanaan, an Indy 500 winner, an IndyCar Series champion, a veteran in the sport, has the eyes on. Just look how close he's following the Chevrolet pace car.
If he gets any closer, he's going to put his nose into one of those quad exhaust tips.
Always thinking he's trying to save that little bit of extra bit of fuel, draft off the pace car in front of him, and that's what you do when you're a veteran. You're always thinking ahead of the game, right?
He's ready to go. He's ready to go, and so too is this guy who features in our Chevrolet driver profile this evening. It's Helio Castro-Neves in his 18th season in IndyCar. Just think about the frustration factor for the dancing man. He wants a championship. He's got 3 Indy 500s, but he wants a championship. Look at that stat there, third row down. Second 4 times. He can leave this sport with a championship. If he can leave with a championship, it will be career complete. He's such a happy, positive guy. He's great to be around. He's a lot of fun to be around, but it is a thorn in his side. The Brazilian wants this championship. Now, if you're just turning on to NBCSN, your home of motorsport, we do need to tell you that one of the captain's men, Roger Penske's lead guy in this championship as far as points, Juan Pablo Montoya, suffered this big hit. He told Robin Miller just a few moments ago after coming out of the infield medical center that he's just got a bruise on his hand. He's okay. Something broke on the car. Not sure what. The engineers will decipher that. But our championship leader is out of this race. He will still leave Iowa Speedway with the championship lead heading to Mid-Ohio. But boy, is it going to be a lot tighter and a lot closer. He came in with a 54-point advantage. It will be a lot less than that.
At least we get ready for the restart. You know, we talked earlier about Andretti and their strength at this track. Not super stellar in qualifying, but as they run right now, 7, 8, 9, 10 in position. Andretti, Hunter-Reay, Wilson, and Munoz. So that Andretti freight train is gearing up for a charge here.
And the reason why Townsend brings that up, Andretti Autosport has won the last 5 years in a row. There's the reigning series champ, Will Power, desperately needs a good result here, ready to go racing in Iowa. Let's do it. Kanaan leads the field. Look at Castro-Neves in the white-black car. Down on the inside, the Hitachi entry for Roger Penske. Does he get second? He's wheel-to-wheel with Scott Dixon. Andretti comes up into the mix. And look at Joseph Newgarden. He's well-placed as well.
Will Power making moves. He was looking high, looking low. Sage Kara making a move around the outside of Andretti. They're both from Nazareth, Pennsylvania.
Grew up across the street from each other. And they go wheel to wheel. Marco Andretti told Townsend and myself earlier today, I can win this race tonight.
Wow, and the action off of turn 2 as the camber of the track rolls away is getting really tight as they start to slide around. Tires continue to wear out here as Justin Wilson is now working the high side of his teammate, Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Look at that, it's the Andretti quartet all together. Wilson, Munoz, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Marco Andretti coming in pack formation.
And there's such a desperate urge to get track position before you start to fan out, before that turbulent air really starts to dictate your ability to make progress on the car in front.
See Graham Rahal now pulling up to the back of this train of Andretti cars. So all these Hondas right now running together in formation.
Jan, what have you got?
You can talk about that train of Andretti cars. Well, 3 of the 4 have been complaining that they're getting loose. Justin Wilson, Ryan Hunter-Reay are saying that the car is a little bit loose. Now, we have not heard the same from Marco Andretti, but we saw visual evidence when he was alongside Sage Kara before. The car really stepped sideways, but we know that Marco likes a loose car. He has one right now.
Biggest mover in the race is Justin Wilson, up 9 positions. Ryan Briscoe, second best. Want to take you back a few moments ago on the restart. Ed Carpenter gives us this view. Look at the red car, the MyJack entry of Graham Rahal on the right. Check this out. I see a gap, I go for it. They're his words.
I love it. Visions of the old Thomas Schechter there going high here in Iowa. On board now with Graham Rahal. And now's the time when things start to slot in a little bit. You saw Marco Andretti earlier running low, and he looks like he got by Sage Karam as Wilson almost gets into the side of Karen coming off of turn 4.
And this is for the lead of the race, the teammates. Dixon on the low side, Kanaan on the high side.
Tell you one thing, Kanaan will not give up this lead easily. He had pressure last year and fought and fought and fought, so he's going to want to hang on to this.
This is history repeating. This was Iowa 2014.
Definitely tougher to make the pass happen on the low side. There's more momentum on the top as you see Dixon. He's trying, but to keep that low line and cut under a guy, it's really difficult when you have as good a car as Kanaan.
Paul, I want you to comment on this. Scott Dixon was telling us earlier today that, you know, when you get in that turbulent air behind a car in front like Castro Neves is down to Scott Dixon, you'll lose the front end very quickly. And he said that used to be manageable, but now you'll lose the back in a split second, and it really takes some time to gather it back up again.
Yeah, talking to some of the drivers now, it's like when you were trying to pass a guy, and if a guy decides I'm really going to fight you hard, as soon as you slip the tire and slide the tire and heat it up a little bit more than running on your own, it really costs you. As we see now, that charge that Dixon made, he's fallen off the back of Kanaan now.
Well, Lee, you and I spoke with Joseph Newgarden about that turbulent air. He said, you know, it's not that much different than last year in terms of total downforce loss. The difference is that the air is very unpredictable. It's one big chaotic sort of turbulent flow that comes over the car, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to be the front end, the back, the whole car? Very, very tough to predict as you wash through the back of another car like Castro Neves just did on Dixon.
Well, that's what they want. They want to make these cars difficult for these drivers to drive. If it was easy, everybody'd get paid the big bucks, right, Townsend? That's why we're sitting up here.
Well, you took all the money. I don't think there's any money left in this sport.
Kanaan, Dixon, Castro Neves, Newgarden, Power 5th, Andretti, Hunter Ray, Sage Karam, the rookie in 8th, Justin Wilson and Graham Rahal has come from 17th to 10th. Second biggest mover in this race. Look at Castro Neves there.
He sure looks like he's going to have a chance here to get a wheel under Dixon as he exits the corner. That's what it's going to take to get by.
These two guys have the most to gain from tonight. The red car, the white car. Dixon and Castro Neves, they're second and third in the championship, and the leader in this series is out of the race. Just a spectacular evening here in Iowa, in America's heartland, for the Iowa Corn 300. One of our series contenders, Graham Rahal, has just been dealt a pretty devastating blow. The Fontana winner was forced to come in with a tire going down, and he has lost 2 laps. He has fallen to 22nd position and now begins a massive catch-up. I can only think that this was from that debris that he collected a little earlier. It was a slow puncture, and he was forced to make a green flag stop.
Absolutely, just an unscheduled pit stop here. We now know will cost you 2 laps, but as we see now he's on fresh tires. He can fight his way back through, but he's going to need a lot of luck to get his laps back.
He might be all right, guys, in that lap 60, if he makes that pit stop, if it stays green, your leaders are going to have to pit under green. Might be able to recover. We'll have to see.
Time for an Iowa Corn through the field, and Kevin Lee gets us going. Kev?
And Lee, it's standard operating procedure for Tony Kanaan here in Iowa. He has led more than 500 laps now in the 9 races at this track. 6 times he's been dominant podium the last 3 years, and he felt like he had just as good of a chance to be scout here in this one today, Jan.
And for Scott Dixon, you saw a few moments ago, he was trying to challenge Tony Kanaan, not because he necessarily wanted the lead, but he doesn't really like his car in the dirty air. Townsend and Paul were talking about how dirty the air is right now. He is searching it, and Castro Neves is pushing.
Helio Castroneves is one of the most animated drivers in the IndyCar series. He says when he's in traffic, he's singing the Wiggle song, but by the end of the day, he hopes to be singing We Are the Champions. He's been quiet on the radio so far.
We'll keep an eye on this battle here. This is a battle for second position, and Castroneves moves up to second, so Dixon in third, and then we find Joseph Newgarden running in the 4th position. He picked up 3 positions right from the start. A great start for him. He thought the car was going to be pretty good, and they just want to continue what they've been doing throughout this season, Jan.
And for Will Power, he has been searching this weekend for balance all the way through the corner. You can see there's quite a gap between himself. Now we see him, and he's getting some pressure from behind from Ryan Hunter-Reay. Again, each part of the corner, the car doesn't react exactly the same way that he would like. Now, for Ryan Hunter-Reay, we talked about how the Andretti cars, and look at this on new tires. This, of course, is not for position. This is Graham Rahal on fresher rubber, showing you the difference between the two. Ryan Hunter-Reay maintains his position in 6th. Again, they're hoping that when the tires wear, their cars are better. Now for Marco Andretti, similar strategy. He was very aggressive on the initial start. You may have seen him. He got washed high. He was kicking up dust, and he lost some of those positions. Now hoping to make those back, Kevin.
Sage Karam is off to a nice start. He's picked up a couple of spots. He's running an 8th there in the red and black car. Keep in mind, this is a young man that graduated high school just a little over a year ago. He said that 5th place run at Fontana gave him all kinds of confidence that he could run up front with the big boys.
Carlos Munoz is part of the hunted team of Andretti Autosport. His team came over the radio reminding him to go opposite of the car in front of him. He started 12th and has now worked his way up to 9th.
Justin Wilson, we spoke earlier about how he really wants to look at the difference in line there. Carlos Munoz was low, and we see that he's high. The reason he's running the high line, his car is a little bit loose. And Paul, you certainly know that when your car is loose, if you run high, hopefully you can keep the car underneath you.
Yeah, Jan, this is still the first stint for these guys. Plenty of opportunity. We're going to see four pit stops from 71 laps into 300. So lots of time, Townsend, to get these cars dialed in.
Yep, and while we were doing the through the field, we saw Helio Castroneves just blow by on the low side of Tony Kanaan.
Ed Carpenter in the Fuzzy Chevrolet is in for CFH Racing as we race lap 72 of 300. Almost, that's how quick it goes here in Iowa, almost third race distance. It's been fast, it's been interesting. This young rookie is one to watch for the future. Sage Karam, he is a brave young driver doing a good job for Chip Ganassi Racing.
And he's been trying to limit mistakes, and that's what he's been doing since he had a little chat with IndyCar officials and also some of his teammates around Texas. He's actually been spending some more time back in Nazareth trying to remember what it was like when he was having fun racing as a kid. You see a front wing adjustment there. So far, so good for Sage Karam. Back out with tires and fuel.
His dad, Jody, who is a health and physical education teacher, health and fitness is a big part of the family life. He said, yep, Sage called me and said, I'm going to come back home for a little bit. Remember, get back into the groove on how we got to where we are.
Green flag pit stops, you've seen many of them on our nonstop coverage. Here is the current leader, Tony Kanaan, coming in. He's dominated this race before his teammate Scott Dixon got around him. Dixon came in just 1 lap earlier, so Kanaan getting slightly better fuel mileage. This took maybe a little bit longer on the front left, but not a bad stop for Tony Kanaan.
Marco Andretti getting serviced in the Snapple entry, and you heard Kevin talk about Scott Dixon coming in and getting serviced. There was a slight delay on the air jack, and that will have cost him.
Well, he dropped the car before the rear wheel nut was on, and then once it dropped, he couldn't get the wheel nut on and had to raise it back up. So that cost a couple seconds, and here that is an eternity.
Power and Pagano in for Team Penske.
And these are the kind of opportunities. They know that Scott Dixon had a delay on pit road, so they're hoping that they don't have any kind of miscues and they can make up for that deficit. The fuel flows very quickly. Yes, Power, you can see how quickly they disconnected that. Both picture-perfect stops for both Pagano and Will Power.
So let's go back up the front as we wait for the likes of James Jakes as he heads the field at the moment on this opening pit stop rotation. Bourdais, Hawksworth, Kimball, Chavez. Then we're going to keep an eye out for Helio Castroneves. Helio is down there in 6th position on this rotation, but effectively the guy who's up the front. Keep an eye out too, Townsend, for Joseph Newgarden. And I'd say and describe him having a good quiet run thus far, but a successful one. It's a good opening stanza.
Well, you just see the patience, not so much from Joseph, but I think from his team. You know, even on the pit stops, there's a calm now there that they've won their 2 races. They know they can do it. You don't see the urgency they used to have maybe with last year at Mid-Ohio where they made the mistake. So that whole Sarah Fisher, Hartman, Carpenter team has done well as we see Dixon here with the issue, Paul.
Yeah, as we see the car's up. Guy on the outside rear gets the wheel on. He goes for the gun. He misses it. They drop the car, and he's got to come back up with it. And away he goes. Lost about 3 or 4 seconds. But look at this, guys. Sebastian Bourdais is in the lead. What do you think of that?
He's a little bit off sequence, but he's going to stay there for a while until it's time for his pit stop, you know, by virtue of topping up there on the last yellow.
He and Charlie Kimball, who sits behind him, they are both on the same strategy, Jan.
Yes, of course. Sebastian Bourdais is going to have worn tires, but they're going to go ahead and run as long as they put the fuel in. Earlier in the stint, he was complaining about a sticking throttle. They said, well, come on pit road. He says, no. Whoa, look at that when he takes the air off Scott Dixon. Wow, that was a close one. but they now are bringing the tires out for Sebastian Bourdais because he needs fresher Firestones.
Last time he pitted was lap 29. We're racing lap 89. Boy, that was close.
And Scott Dixon is not going to appreciate that sudden change of direction mid-corner. He fully expected Bourdais to stay high, and when he chopped down low, Dixon shot straight up the track. Watch Dixon try to force his way by.
Yeah, he was driving kind of like a road course line. He entered high and dropped right down to the bottom of the track. And I think that Dixon thought he was going to stay high, and he's using all of the track because he's on worn tires.
And that was the voice of Jimmy Vasser, enthusiastically coaching Bourdais to the pit lane.
So that will leave Charlie Kimball out there, and Charlie was on the same rotation as Sebastian Bourdais, last pitting on lap 29. Here comes Bourdais, Jan.
Yes, and he's going to lose between 1 3/4 and 2 laps. So we keep looking at the action on the right side of the screen while we see hopefully a nice quick stop. Now, he shouldn't need very much fuel because he obviously topped out twice, but that took a while. That was 8.2 seconds. I would have thought he could be a little bit faster after making those earlier stops.
Enjoying a ride there aboard the Novo Nordisk car for Chip Ganassi Racing with now race leader Charlie Kimball, but he will be heading to pit lane very soon as he comes up on the KB Racing Technologies car of Stefano Coletti.
And it's been a monumental struggle now for Coletti after he had that damage early. He's 3-4 laps down as we see Charlie on the inside. A little bit tight there.
I want to take you back just a few moments ago. Townsend, talk us through this. This is Kimball and Karam.
Well, watching Sage Karam work the low line. And let's see, we understand there might have been a little communication. Yeah, that was a little Italian, I think, coming out. And I imagine Karam's just looking for a little love. Hey, help me out here.
Hey, I think his teammate's looking for a little love too. Help me out, right?
Racing rapidly towards the 100th lap of this 300 lapper. You got Andretti here closest to us in the yellow car. His teammate Munoz goes blowing by. Graham Rahal still on the comeback trail.
Look at how loose Coletti's car. He's sideways. He's got all these cars swarming around him. He stepped out sideways in the middle of the corner.
Ryan Briscoe, who at one stage was the biggest mover in this race. Charlie Kimball comes to pit lane. Briscoe got off to a very good start for, say, the first 75 laps. Coming your way, Kev.
And he was able to stay out longer because, remember, he took contact, so they had to change the front wing on lap 29. So off sequence, that's when things get fun. When everybody's on different types of strategies and different life on the tires. Sunoco Fuel, 4 Firestones. Charlie Kimball will take a front wing adjustment as well, and he's back out. Jan?
Yes, and Gabby Chavez is also taking the opportunity to get some Firestones and Sunoco. This is a big eye-opener. He has run here in Iowa in Indy Lights, but this is his first time in an Indy car, and he said, wow, this is a big difference when you're almost 5 Gs in these corners, and he has a bit of he's going to school at the moment getting up to speed.
Talked to Brian Herta at the airport on the way out here, and he told me that Gabby Chavez is the best driver they've had on his team since Dan Weldon.
And they want him back next year. They're going to do everything to get this young guy back next year. Not only because he's that good, but they want consistency. They keep having one driver years, you know, and that doesn't build consistency within the team. They love this young guy, and they want him back in 2016.
We watch Newgarden here. He has closed the gap on Castro Neves. He's been right there, 2/10 of a second behind, and stalking to make a move.
Remember when you got your first IndyCar win, Paul Tracy? That same week that you had that big go-kart crash and you wrecked your hands and your wrists and everything?
Yeah.
You remember how bulletproof you felt after that? That's how Joseph Newgarden feels now. He's mixing it with the big boys and he's not afraid anymore.
He's got a little traffic now. Maybe he can use a pick, time it right.
Well, he's going to have a tough time getting past these two up front. That's Justin Wilson and James Jakes, and they're desperately trying to stay on the lead lap.
Here we go.
Watch the yellow and black car, the Wink Hardman, the Hardman oil car. Whoa! Thinks about an inside move there on Castro Neves, then thinks twice. coming up on traffic. Wilson is down in 14th position. He's about to lose a lap.
Look at that, under-over, the crossover, timed perfectly.
For the lead of the race, Newgarden is wheel-to-wheel with Castro Neves.
Now he's stuck with nowhere to go. He's got cars high, low.
They both are.
Castro Neves fighting back on the outside with the draft.
Just over 1/3 race distance. This has been fantastic.
The door just opened. He was able to slide by 3
Wilson
cars.
in the wall. Justin Wilson got high, got up into the gray.
That was a lucky break for Newgarden. The door opened up wide open. He's got a flat tire now or damage to the rear toe link.
Probably a right rear toe link, I would guess. The yellow flag's out. There's nothing more scary than hitting the wall but knowing that you're not out, but you've got to continue and see if you can just hang on as the car damaged. And Wilson made about 9 corrections through one corner.
And not get run over by cars going 185 miles an hour.
Why did you hit the wall so hard at Indy last year? Why didn't you just have a nice little glance like that?
Because I...
Here it is again.
Goes in a little high behind Gabby Chavez.
The coin car got loose in front of all of those guys. If we can replay that again.
That's
and it kind of backed everybody up, and Wilson kind of moved up the track, got in the gray, and that was it.
That was Pippa Man up ahead, and Paul, you called it. When you go in high here at Iowa, you trust that the clean air you have is going to stay there. And when a car moves up in front of you.
Yeah, the white and blue car gets loose.
Here's Pippa Man right here, and she gets a little loose. As she moves up the track, it takes the clear air off of Wilson's front wing, and then he's done. He's just a passenger at that point.
And look at Tony Kanaan whipping through on the inside in between Sebastian Bourdais and Justin Wilson. What a shame. Justin Wilson at that point was fighting to stay on the lead lap, but in his Andretti Autosport Honda had been having a strong run.
So that we don't get in the way while everyone else is coming in.
It's the voice of Rob Edwards.
And there's 2 issues for Justin Wilson now. One is, okay, if it's the toe link, they can make a quick adjustment on pit lane to try to fix that, but that doesn't address whether or not the toe link has fatigue. And Lee, you asked about my crash at Indy. I'd had 2 hits to the toe link, and then it finally let go completely. And that's, that's the 50-50 decision the Andretti guys are going to have to make here once he comes to the pits.
Yeah, the problem you have here with the track being so short, you could change a toe link in Indianapolis under yellow and not cost you a lap. Changing a toe link here, even under yellow, you would probably lose 2 to 3 laps.
And I believe that Iowa is the highest total G loading that the suspension sees here on these Indy cars, so they've got to be careful to make sure it's addressed.
Top 13 on the lead lap, Sebastian Bourdais, last weekend's winner in Milwaukee. The first one a lap down. James Jakes is the last driver on the lead lap. Joseph Newgarden comes to pit road. Paul, you called it, you said, and the door just opened, and he went flying through just before this caution came out. Katie, take it away.
Elio Castroneves knew that this first pit box would be his biggest battle all day. He pitted from the lead last time and felt his team is going to add 4 tires on this pit stop. Kevin?
See Tony Kanaan on the bottom screen. He's going to hit his spot about the same time that Joseph Newgarden is. He's all the way at the bottom. He has pit out. Newgarden will take 4 tires, a front wing adjustment, very slight, and he'll just barely beat Elio Castroneves back out. Kanaan will get out 3rd.
Pretty handy piece of driving by Newgarden.
Yeah, that was a tight race off pit road. Castroneves obviously had the quicker stop, but at the head of the pits. Newgarden is at the other end of the pits.
All right, guys. Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, veterans, both of you. Veteran is Elio Castroneves, but even after all of these years, how much did that come through the field from last to second do for him last weekend?
Well, I think it's key, but I think Newgarden, now that he's won a race, the floodgates have opened.
Here we go. It's all happening tonight in Iowa. Beautiful evening here in Iowa. We want to take you back to the latest round of stops and take a look at this race off pit road. That's Joseph Newgarden for CFH Racing. Gets it a little sideways on acceleration and just beats Elio Castroneves to the yellow line and out onto the racing surface. 2 times a winner this year. There have been 4 drivers. There are 4 drivers who can boast that record this year, and Joseph Newgarden is one of them. So, As we climb aboard the Andretti Autosport DHL Honda of Ryan Hunter-Reay, you can be part of Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes by going to shophonda.com and sign up. Enter for your chance to lead the start of a Verizon IndyCar Series race, and most importantly, no purchase is necessary. So as we talk about Andretti Autosport, let's take you in on some radio communication within the team and within
what was
this
that
car.
car doing? Enters at the bottom and just runs up to the middle of the track.
Looks like you tagged the wall with the right front there.
Yeah, my white walled it with the right side. I don't know if the right rear is okay.
Justin Wilson not too pleased with Pippa Mann in the team that he used to drive for, saying, what was that coin car doing?
Well, it got a little loose and moved up the track, obviously, and nowhere for Wilson to go.
Here we go. Speaking of going, it's time to go. On a beautiful evening in Iowa, in the heartland, let's do it.
Here comes
New
Kanaan.
Garden. Whoa, look at Castro Neves trying to make life hard for Tony Kanaan. And TK, does he push through or does Elio hang tough? Castro Neves hangs on to it.
Castro Neves, having none of it, kept his foot wide down to the floor as we watch the guys further back. Hunter-Reay's already up to 5th place. He's working the high side.
Look who's in the action as well. Sage Karam, the rookie, the 20-year-old American, is in the mix of it. The second red card you'll see, the first one is Dixon, the second one is the youngster. Right alongside there with Carlos Munoz.
Ray Hall on his outside move again. Karam up close to the wall. We've got Marco. Big battle here. The AJ Foyt car of Sato. I think he's a lap, or Hawksworth is a lap down, kind of holding all these guys up.
Let's ride. Let's enjoy this lap and look how crazy it is. The view from Graham Rahall's MyJack entry.
He likes that high line, Townsend.
Yeah, and you can watch him. He's very gentle with his hands as he turns in until he knows that Marco Andretti in the yellow Snapple car commits low. You really have to just nurse it in until you're confident where the air will be for you going into the corner.
A little limiter going into the corner. He makes a move on the outside, using that high line that he likes, and swept right around Marco.
Oh.
Further back.
Tony Kanaan went high. Kanaan's in trouble.
Tony Kanaan just lost 2 or 3 positions, almost got into the wall exiting turn 4. Now he's defending down low as we see the battle for the lead. Look at Newgard and Castro Neves is pushing to the front.
Just got word from race control in regards to car number 3, Elio Castro Neves. There will be a post-race evaluation of this. There was perhaps an unsafe release of car number 3. Won't be dealt with during the race though. It'll be a post-race review. Side by side, Hunter-Reay and Kanaan. The two guys who came together on the closing 2 laps last year when Hunter-Reay broke Kanaan's heart by sweeping by him on fresher tires to win this race.
And as we go into nighttime, I think this really favors Kanaan and Dixon. They were struggling a little bit in the heat. As it cools down, I think it helps those Ganassi cars. On board with Kanaan earlier on the restart. And there, wow! That's what happened. Castro Neves came right across his bow, Paul.
Yeah, once he got up in the gray, picked up some junk on the tires. It takes a lap or 2 to get the car back sorted away and get back up to speed. He was able to get back by, and that's not a fun feeling. When a car chops across the front and you take a big slide like that, it's not any fun at all.
Remember, on this 7/8 of a mile oval, as Kanaan whips around the outside of his teammate Scott Dixon, they're doing in excess of 180 miles an hour.
He's certainly recovered quickly. He's lost 3 or 4 positions. He's made back them now, and he's chased down Newgarden. As we see, he crosses over. He's back on the hunt to get back in the lead.
Last lap, 176 miles an hour.
That's close to qualifying pace.
He's in catch-up mode, but he's making it and doing it very effectively. Castro Neves, Newgard and Kanaan, we ride with Dixon 4th, Hunter-Reay 5th, Munoz, Rahal 7th, from 17 to 7th, Karam, Briscoe and Andretti.
And I get the sense that Newgarden is very cleverly adjusting his line every lap to make himself unpredictable. The best way to defend Tony Kanaan, who's charging hard. Look at that. He's all over the map and that's okay. That's what you do. As you get experience in this series, you make it as hard as you can to follow.
Yeah, that they call that mirror driving in NASCAR. They do that at Daytona, places like that. You drive where the other car is at. So the aero is so turbulent with these cars. Now guys are basically picking their line based on where the guy behind is.
And let's look at what happened on this last restart. This is Helio Castroneves. Tony Kanaan is in third. Kanaan is looking up high. He's going to drop down low. That's Kanaan in the black car. And look at Castroneves put a little hockey block there. That's like lowering your shoulder.
And it didn't affect TK as he blasted through on the inside, but then Helio came back. Now check this out. I was telling you about this a few moments ago, about something that will be reviewed after the race, the unsafe release in regards to Ed Carpenter and his CFH Racing Chevrolet.
I don't know, Paul. I don't think that's deserving of anything really. I mean, it's tough to tell who that is coming through turn 4 on the pit lane. But back up front here, on board with Kanaan as Dixon's now working all over the tail of his teammate.
There is a big carrot being dangled in front of this field, most notably Helio Castroneves and Scott Dixon, the two guys who are second and third in this championship. And the reason why, if you've joined us late, Juan Pablo Montoya crashed out of this race after just 9 laps. The championship leader has yet to be headed, but the captain has 3 other guys still in this race, and one of them is the leader. Racing into the night here on your home of motorsport, NBCSN, the Iowa Corn 300. It's round 13 of the Rise in IndyCar Series, and there is a lot at stake here on this little oval in the heartland. There's a lot at stake for Helio Castroneves as well, the race leader, by almost 2 seconds over Joseph Newgarden. He comes upon Justin Wilson, the man who brought out the most recent caution. We've had 3 yellows for a total of 36 laps so far in this race as we rapidly race towards the halfway mark.
Watching Graham Rahal here. He was 2 laps down earlier, but when everybody pitted under green, he was able to cycle back to the front. But just a little bit ago, this is him, Rahal, making a move on Carlos Munoz. So lucky, Paul, that the nose clipped the end fence, but the front wing of Graham Rahal remained intact.
Yeah, that's about as lucky as you can get, as we see he makes a move on Ryan Hunter-Reay down on the inside. He's been using the high line all night, but obviously his car is working very well. He's on the move. This could be another good night.
Tell us more, Kev.
And he told me before the race he was going to try to make that high line work, and I've not heard many others saying that. It's been a fantastic recovery. You saw that contact with Munoz. That's the 3rd contact he's had, but so far no major issues. They also thought they had a gearbox issue, but that's okay. But he told me before the race, this seems like it might be like Fontana. I started 19th at Fontana and had confidence I could get to the front. I think this might be the same situation tonight, and he's proving it so far, Jan.
Yes, and for Graham Rahal, he is certainly on a charge, but you saw him a moment ago going by Ryan Hunter-Reay, who has made nice progress. His car was loose, and on the last 2 pit stops, they took out a half turn on each of those pit stops. The front wing, taking some out, is balancing up the car. They have a little bit more to go, but still a nice start for Ryan Hunter-Reay.
And guys, how about this? Castroneves is almost going to put his teammate Simon Pagenaud a lap down.
A tale of 2 different cars here. You know, these guys started with pretty close setups, and just, you know, all night so far, Pagenaud has just kind of languished around in the back, and look at his teammates right there. He's going to put him a lap down here within a lap or 2.
And Pagenaud, by admission, saying we're going to try some different things, and I'm not in the championship hunt, I'm 10th. And he said, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Whatever I can do to help my teammates, and most notably Juan Pablo Montoya, who's out of this race, win this championship. Let's talk more about the 22 with Katie.
Lee, that's exactly the orders for the 22 in this race. He said they're attacking this weekend as an experiment. So over the radio, the team was asking him to try out the high line to see how that was running. So Helio Castroneves coming around to lap Simon Pagenaud, Lee.
And let's keep in mind, Simon Pagenaud, the Frenchman, too, like the rest of the motor racing world, is racing with a heavy heart tonight because Jules Bianchi passing away last night. There's another driver in this field who was very heavily affected by that, and that's Stefano Coletti, driving for KVRT. Stefano Coletti, the man from Monaco, here he is. Grew up just half an hour away from where Jules Bianchi grew up, in Nice, in France. These two raced each other in go-karts, in junior formula, in GP2. and this has been a very difficult period for Stefano Coletti. So just to be out there racing, he's doing it in honor of his late friend Jules Bianchi.
And back up front here, look at this. Newgarden inside Castroneves.
That was slick.
What a great pass.
That was slick, that was sophisticated, it was decisive. Joseph Newgarden just made it happen, and that was coming from several laps back, Paul.
Yeah, it looks like Castroneves closed up on his teammate, was not able to get any closer. The turbulence obviously has upset his car, and that allowed Newgarden to close back down the gap and come by.
Newgarden, Castroneves, Kanan, Dixon, then Ray Hall in 5th, Hunter Ray, Munoz, Karam, Briscoe 9th, and Ed Carpenter in the 10th position as we race lap 160 of 300.
Really easy right now for Dixon to get frustrated with Wilson, who's a lap down. Wilson is fighting him for the position quite hard, and look at Ray Hall closing in now.
I see a Graham Rahal that's very confident with his race car. His hands look very relaxed, not a lot of drama from in the cockpit. He's patient. He knows that he's got to wait for Dixon to get single file before he can get to work on Wilson and find some clean air, and there it is, down low. He's got a nice run here.
T-Bell, you say you see a very relaxed Graham Rahal and confident Graham Rahal in the car. It's a very relaxed Graham Rahal out of the car. He's got his personal life in order. Courtney Force, the star of NHRA racing, his fiance is here. They're getting married later this year. He's reached a balance with his famous father, Bobby. Bobby's no longer on the box calling the shots. So everything's in a happy place. Paul, I know you can talk to that.
Relaxed outside the car, but massive aggression when he's in the car. So it's like when he puts the visor down, it's a Dr. Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde.
This young guy just had a pretty anxious moment. Sage Karam, the 20-year-old American rookie, pretty big on confidence, and he's big on bravery, and he has to have quite a bit of skill as well. Look up ahead on the left. Check this out. Whoop, 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 whoop. Got away with one.
And again, when you wash through the turbulent air, it takes all the air off the car, and you go from being and he's still loose. Look at that, Paul.
He's hanging on. He looks like he's in a stock car out there, slipping and sliding, coming off in turn 4, trying to get by Wilson to put him a lap down and handful, but he's driving the wheels off it.
Let's eavesdrop on some radio.
Right, they're finally radio in Hawksworth to get out of your way.
Oh, is he gonna do it or what?
Gotta get to him now, you gotta get to him.
Dude, I'm alongside him and he rolls back out.
I know, you just gotta stay with it. We're doing everything we can here.
Well, he's every bit as excited in the car as it looks from up here. Wow, that's 18 years old for you.
I know somebody that used to be like that.
Is he sitting in between you and I?
Yeah.
Look at Ryan Briscoe. He's making a nice move. He's running up there in the 9th position. We go on board with Ed Carpenter, who's looking at Briscoe in 10th. Here comes Carpenter, one side to the other. The fuzzy Chevrolet goes to the inside. Briscoe's not going to give that position up. 2 races in a row, Briscoe's been in a prominent position, only to see it disappear with crashes. Let's see if the driver of the number 5 Arrow Honda for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports can get to the line tonight with a good result.
Ryan Briscoe, when he went out to qualify earlier today, that was the first time he'd been in any kind of qualifying trim, so he didn't expect a whole lot, but he thought the race car was going to be okay. He told me, actually, this has gone a little better than I expected it to. He's been racing every week. The last 2 races, you could argue that he had the best car, and he has proved again that he's likely deserving as we see a yellow, and Kimball goes around. Charlie Kimball around brings out a yellow.
He looks like he slapped the wall outside right.
I was just about to say that this is the longest green flag run that we've seen, and the lap times were starting to come down as guys were struggling with grip, and unfortunately for Charlie Kimball, we'll have to see what happened, but I'm sure it was a handful for him.
And you can see the big deep breaths he's taking, how much work you're doing in the car. You can see his chest going in and out. He's up on the high side here, car in front, turbulent air into the gray, slaps the wall, and then obviously it turned around on him.
Oof. It was that who dived to the inside to take evasive action? Might have been Justin Wilson. Who was it? What? Look to the left here. Look to the left.
Whoa.
Woo! That's actually Tristan Vautier, I think, for Dale Coyne Racing.
So now, obviously, Townsend, the upper high groove is getting, you know, some marble, some rubber up there. Will probably be a good opportunity, I would assume, for the guys to do a sweeper or a blow and try to clean it up, open up that groove up there a little bit more.
Nice to see Charlie Kimball's okay. And if you're driving around under yellow right now, still in this race, you're going to study where the sweepers go, how much they sweep, because on the restart, if it's clean up high, you'll see guys like a Marco Andretti.
Like Graham.
Like Graham.
Like Graham.
And they'll take every bit of advantage of a clean racetrack on the high groove.
So Charlie Kimball, that is, was making some pretty good progress, made up 4 positions until that crash into the wall, and he joins Juan Pablo Montoya and Pippa Mann as retirements in this Iowa Corn 300. Yes, you heard me right. Montoya out on lap 9. Something broke on the right-hand side of the car, sent him up into the wall at high speed. He is okay. However, his championship lead will be drastically reduced when we wave the checkered flag on this one tonight. And that sets up for a fascinating final 3 races to the undulating Mid-Ohio sports car course, onto that very unique super speedway in Pocono, and then finishing off in wine country. What a way to end this season.
Oh, it's a terrific run to the finish. And so many of these guys are going to be strong tonight, maybe struggle on road courses, but vice versa for some that are struggling tonight. Katie?
It seems odd to say Team Penske has never won at Iowa Speedway, and although Elio Castroneves has 3 poles this season, he's yet to win. So they're going to fill it up with Sunoco fuel for a clean start for Elio Castroneves. Kevin?
Kanon's at the bottom of the triple box. He has the 4th pit location. There he ducks in. Further ahead, the pit out location is Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden comes in as the leader. The last time he was able to beat Castroneves, who's already finished and is making the long drive down at 50 miles an hour. Half a wing of front, half a turn of front wing in for Newgarden. He will beat out Castroneves. Then it's Kanon in 3rd. Ryan Hunter-Reay comes out 4th, and then a whole gaggle of cars together.
And the most interesting thing you said there, Kev, I think, what's happened here to Ray Hall?
Stalled it.
All that work, and now to go to the back of the field.
He's been talking about gearbox problems for a while. He's had trouble shifting, and I heard him before he came in saying, I can't get it into the gear, so I don't know that for certain, but that's a good guess.
I can see him looking at his steering wheel dash display, and something is going on that's maybe an electronic issue. It looks like maybe they put a new steering wheel on, or they're going to try to.
Looks like they can't get the steering wheel off of the steering shaft.
Well, he came in very slow. You see him already waving his hand.
He's pretty animated in the car, like he knows he has an issue. He's shaking his head. Maybe he couldn't get it into first gear.
Yeah, or get it into neutral, and he was in gear the whole time during the pit stop, but not in first gear. It looked like he tried to leave, and it was probably in 2nd gear or 3rd. You know, you can't get it going. There's no wheel spin there. Usually what you do if you have a gearbox problem, the first remedy is to change the steering wheel if there's an issue with the paddles.
Well, let's go back. Let's show you a replay. Let's go on board with Graham Rahal. We'll crank the audio a little bit and have a listen to what happened to the MyJack number 15. All that good work. Remember the stories. Let's have a listen.
3, 2, 1.
You can't help it. Guys, are we sprinting up? Clutch it, clutch it, clutch it, clutch it, clutch it.
It seems as though he was just in gear during the pit stop, and
troubles at the Ganassi camp for Scott Dixon. Take a look at this. Remember that problem on the right rear earlier?
Not too bad. A little slow on the right front, but they had to get a wing change in, but that wasn't horrible.
Boy, the twists and turns in this race at the less than 1 mile Iowa Speedway. It has been a spectacular evening, and the best part about it is we've still got more than 100 laps to run. Could you get a more beautiful picture? just stunning. The weather has been spectacular here in the Heartland. It has been hot and humid, as you'd expect in the summertime, but it's cooled off considerably, and it's a lovely evening to go racing. It has been a hot, hard works night for this man, Graham Rahal, who unfortunately just got beaten to the line by the Corvette pace car. And this will show you another view here.
Yeah, and this is the blend line, which basically goes right up through pit lane across the racetrack. And that's, you know, every second counts under green. It does under difficult circumstances too.
So he plays catch up again. He's one lap down. Let's go back to work. Joseph Newgarden leads. Helio Castroneves. Here comes Kanan. Look at that black and gold car just go right around the outside.
Look at Hunter Ray coming on the outside.
And Munoz's teammate is low, and he's got a run going.
Andretti Autosport is having a run tonight. We've been waiting for this for quite some time, but now look at it. Last year's winner, Brian Hunter Ray. It has not been that often we've been able to call RHR towards the front of a race this year.
Oh, squeezing his teammate up close to the wall. Fresh tires. You can keep it on the bottom wide open. He's got the car in front. Hunter Ray makes a run on the outside, has the draft, and is able to pull clear and take the air off the front of his teammate right there.
Did he ever?
That's like, hey, get out of here.
That was the veteran driver on the team saying, move over, kid, I'm coming through. And he blows by Tony Kanaan. And the strength of Andretti at Iowa continues to show.
In 8 previous years, Andretti Autosport has won 6 of them. 6. The other 2 victories belong to Chip Ganassi, but this house is Michael Andretti's house.
Be interesting to see if he can close the gap to Newgarden. As we see Ed Carpenter come around Castroneves. There's something wrong with Castroneves' car now.
It's just going backwards rapidly. Was in second at the restart and has just been swamped. Whoa! Swapping of positions there. Briscoe on the low side. Rahal coming through.
And this guy, Graham Rahal, is just in hammer down mode. I don't care what happens now. I need my lap back. If I have any chance of getting a result, I have to catch the leader.
Big time loose. Big time loose.
Tony Kanaan.
Briscoe.
Wow.
Is on pit road. What's going on, Kev?
Your guess is as good as mine right now. Let's watch and see what they're doing. Oh, and they're going to plug in. They're shutting it off. So he's got some other issue rather than making contact with something. So this is electrical or something else.
Seems to be confusion there. Tony said, what's going on? He doesn't know what's happening. Well, and there's not really any urgency from the team.
The guys on the stand will be looking at some data. Electrical, mechanical issue with the powertrain most likely. And Kanaan has to be gutted.
2 of the 4 Ganassi cars are out of this race at the moment. Meanwhile, we see the target machine of Scott Dixon running high. Second in the championship. The man he's hunting down, Juan Pablo Montoya, is out of this race. There's big points to be had here for Dixon, the 3-time series champion.
You know what, there's big points to be had, but you got to be careful. You got to get to the end of the race to capitalize on the misfortune of Montoya. You know, running like this side by side, you could easily get in a wreck.
Munoz third. Through goes Ed Carpenter. He's in 5th place. Sage Karam is there. Helio Castroneves has dropped to 7th. What's the deal, Katie?
Yeah, I asked Helio Castroneves' team, why is he dropping back so quickly? They said nothing's wrong. So the team came over the radio and said, you're doing fine, bud. Time to pick it back up.
There's Roger Penske, the captain, the legend.
Just goes to show you the track position, Townsend, is so important. When he was out front, clean air, he's been good. As soon as he got swarmed by those cars, he just started dropping like a stone.
Yellow is out, turn 2, what's happened? Oh, that's Stefano Coletti. Stefano Coletti up against the inside wall. Did he hit the outside then come back down? On this emotionally charged weekend for Stefano Coletti, it comes to an end this way. There is some conjecture on whether we will see Coletti back in the Verizon IndyCar Series for the remainder of the year. We'll have to wait and find out. And for the star of the show at this track, Tony Kanaan, who just loves this place and is electrifying here, is going no further. We can show you what happened to the Monaco driver, Stefano Coletti. Here it is.
Just gets loose there, the middle of turn 2. Tries to save it, stays off the brake pedal to keep the tires rolling, but then he has to jump onto the brakes because he's not going to be able to get it turned straight again, Paul.
Yeah, he's just sliding, big drift, and comes down the track, can't get it stopped. Not too big of an impact, but obviously enough to put him out of the race, and he's been struggling all night. He had early contact, and ever since then he's been struggling with handling.
First year in the Verizon IndyCar Series, and for a very talented driver, it's been a huge, very steep learning curve. Never raced on ovals before, and it's a whole different beast, particularly for the different size of ovals, the different speed, the characteristics, all of the variety that the Verizon IndyCar Series has to offer. So Coletti joins Montoya, Mann, Kimball, and our most recent retiree, Tony Kanaan. So now it's 5 out of this race, the Iowa Corn 300. Everybody okay. The most serious crash was that suffered by Juan Pablo Montoya, but he's okay. There's Tony Kanaan, and the veteran not pleased. And you can understand why, because he felt he had a winning race car. He wanted this one. He was denied it last year in the most gut-wrenching way in the final 2 laps. Kanaan is out. So we've had a little bit of everything here in Iowa tonight, haven't we? And just quietly going about his business is Joseph Newgarden out in front.
Yeah, and before you know it, you've got Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's worked his way into the top 2.
Need to squeeze in a quick break. When we come back, we'll be at lap 200 of this 300 lapper. See you in a moment. Quick reminder that the Tour de France continues tomorrow morning at 8 Eastern on NBCSN. The fight for the green jersey is on. If you haven't caught this yet on NBCSN, you're a little late. However, it is spectacular footage, and the primetime coverage begins of the Tour tomorrow at night at 8 Eastern right here on NBCSN. Let's check in with Kevin.
No driver has won 3 times this season. Joseph Newgarden has that chance tonight. One of the co-owners, Sarah Fisher, is here. He's been running up front all night. What's he been saying about the car? How good is it?
It's pretty good. You don't get that very often, so we're just sitting here trying to help him as all we can.
All right, fingers crossed. Long way to go in this one, Jan.
And we asked to talk to Michael Andretti, but he said, I need to coach him. We know we're going green here. He's working with the spotters, but obviously for Andretti Autosport, they know this is a great opportunity as the day. Each pit stop, they've been taking front wing out, and now the car's getting faster and faster for Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Our Chevy update gives us a look at the top Chevy drivers in tonight's race thus far. And looking pretty good there, isn't it? Nice and solid in the top 10, and of course the lead car of Joseph Newgarden. All right, it is time, this restart, to take a look from the grandstand. Here we go. If you were sitting in the stands, this is the view that you would get here at Iowa Speedway, and you'd see there the Sage Karam take off from Ed Carpenter, and Ed Carpenter's now falling into the clutches of Helio Castroneves and Marco Andretti.
And not for long, because I think Carpenter just got surprised there by the dirty air. If Newgarden's car is good, there's a good chance that Ed Carpenter has just as capable a car, and he's been coming strong tonight.
See, Marco's been complaining about the turbulence. He's having a hard time getting by Gabby Chavez. Finally clears him, but he's lost quite a bit of distance to the guys in front of him.
Haven't seen much of him, but let's give a shout out to Frenchman Tristan Vautier, who is on the lead lap in his Dale Coyne car. Look at these 2 guys go wheel to wheel. This is on the inside, is Sage Karam. On the high side, in the white, green and black Andretti Autosport Honda, is Carlos Munoz running 4th. Sage Karam in the top 5, exactly where he finished at Fontana.
And one of the difficult things about running low is you see Karam got dirty air there as Munoz came across down low. When you're running low side by side with Munoz, the guy that's going to win is the one that gets the draft pawl coming off the corner as the leaders are going up to the wall. So if you're on the high side, you get a nice toe.
Yeah, you definitely have to have the ability to cross over and get through that dirty air and get underneath the car and then control the next corner at the end of the straightaway. As we see Scott Dixon trying to do that, but see, he got that dirty air and the car just took off right for the wall.
Hey guys, you know the old saying, the numbers don't lie. The car sitting second, Ryan Hunter-Reay, this year, total has led 3 laps, and that was at Auto Club Speedway Fontana. Last year, he led 193 laps. It has been a lean year for the former series champ and the Indy 500 winner, but here comes RHR. Hunter Ray has won 2 of the last 3 years here. He wants to get his 3rd victory in Iowa.
And this is just such a huge breath of fresh air for Hunter Ray. He's been so down, really, at all the struggles he's had this year, and he's tried so hard to figure out how to get his car working, and tonight they found their mojo.
Hey, Joseph Newgarden, you've got company. Here comes Hunter Ray in the Andretti Autosport Honda.
Watch for that crossover. He's going to enter here and try to get underneath. Had to back out of it. You see Newgarden driving Hunter Ray's line, so that's the tactic now that these drivers are using.
And look what happens here. That big checkup from Hunter Ray has allowed Dixon to get by for second.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Look how close this is to the wall.
Oh.
Hunter Ray and Dixon.
Look at that. Back around on the outside. That's how hard you have to fight to keep your position, because one more car in front of you is more dirty air. Look at Karam, this rookie coming through the field now.
Sage Karam had to prove himself to Chip Ganassi, to Mike Hull, and to the entire organization. He has not raced at every race this year. Remember, Sebastian Saavedra has taken a few rides in the number 8. I think this young guy over the last few races has done enough to prove himself.
He got off to a really rocky start, Townsend. It was really a disaster the first 3 or 4 races, but since Fontana, he's found his legs under him and now is getting the results that everybody expected.
Marco Andretti in the Snapple entry there, the yellow and blue car. Let's have a transmission to a recent radio transmission.
The rear bar. I don't think so, Marco. You got the same as everybody else. I'm talking about in traffic. You can't do anything in traffic. Well, you got the same as Ryan, Carlos.
And Michael Andretti trying to coach his son to relax. Hey, the other guys around you on your team are doing well with the same setup. And he's talking about his rear bar selection, either the strength of that rear bar or whether or not you even run a rear bar for this race.
It's a pretty calming voice by Michael to talk to his son that way. He said, well, we've got the same as everybody else, so time to get after it, son.
He didn't speak that calmly when he spoke about you.
You got to stir it up, don't you, man?
Famous names in American open wheel racing, Andretti and Rahal. Marco trying to do something good for the Andrettis. Ryan Hunter Ray trying to do the same. Graham Rahal trying to get back on the lead lap. Racing into the night here on your home of motorsport, the Verizon IndyCar Series and the Iowa Corn 300. What a night we've had here in the Heartland, and it is far from over. We're approaching the final stops, and look at this, troubles for one of the championship contenders. We've already seen Juan Pablo Montoya bounced out of this race. Now the second man in the championship, Scott Dixon. What's wrong with the 9?
Looks like he's hit something. The rear end of the car is wiggling around. It might have brushed the wall. So looks like there's, didn't see any visible damage, but the car is definitely moving around.
Oh boy, this is music to the ears of Helio Castroneves. 3rd in the championship, and he has seen significant problems for the 2 guys ahead of him in the points race.
Forget about music for the ears of Castroneves. Now Juan Montoya has now got a 45-point lead again. So think about what Montoya is thinking as he's probably flying home right now in his private jet.
Jan?
The crew is going to try and get a look at the car. In fact, his engineer, Chris Simmons, has come off of the timing stand to look to see if he can spot any damage. He's checking out the right rear. Now the mechanics are pointing. They see something. They see something on the right, and yet they send him. Oh, there's a definite problem. There are pieces coming out from the inside. I think it has something to do with the upright inside. There's a seal, a burning rubber seal that just came out of the back.
And you saw the sign, the universal sign, shut it down, shut it off.
Think they burned up a bearing, Paul?
I don't know, maybe a CV joint or half shaft broken, because it looked like the car didn't want to take off at all, but you know, this track, there's such high loads here. We saw Montoya's suspension fail, and now we've got a failure in the rear of Dixon's car.
3 of the 4 Ganassi cars have struck problems tonight. Tony Kanaan out. Charlie Kimball crashed out. Scott Dixon idle on pit lane. And that has left all the responsibility up to a 20-year-old American rookie, Sage Karam, who runs 4th in this race. and things aren't looking good in Dixon's camp. Here's the young man from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Indy Lights champ 2 years ago. This is what happened to his teammate Charlie Kimball. Poof, into the wall. That was the end of Charlie's night. Tony Kanaan. Problems, mechanical, electrical, something wrong with the 10 car, and Dixon the latest to run into dramas. 3 out of the 4 for Chip Ganassi's guys. It has not been a pleasant night in the Heartland. However, it is for this guy. Not afraid of anything. He's mixed it up right from the get-go. And Karam maintains a terrific spot in second. Look at him here, racing with Carlos Munoz.
Tell you what, Carlos has been strong all night. We haven't talked about him a lot, but he's been solid right now running in third. We see Hunter Ray in the pits, possibly his last stop.
And Paul, you say possibly his last stop. He is inside the window, so for Ryan Hunter-Reay, this will be his last time on pit road. As you can see, he has new sticker Firestones, and you also notice that they're wheeling the car with Scott Dixon in the car. I looked, and it is inside the upright, so it appears as though it's either a bearing or a half shaft. There was a lot of grease that was coming out of that right rear upright. Of course, that's what drives the right rear. Because of championship points, they're going to try and fix that, but if they don't have it done with 20 laps to go, they won't let them back on the track.
And we have just 59 laps to run, 58 laps to run, riding on board with Ryan Briscoe. Briscoe runs in 7th. Keep in mind where Ryan started way down in the field. This has been quite the drive. He's made up 12 positions from his starting spot. None better, though, than Sebastian Bourdais, last weekend's winner. He's in 8th. And has made up 16 from his starting position at the back of the pack.
And watching Marco Andretti starting to charge now on Castroneves. He's working that high line a lot like Graham Rahal has been all night. And I think Marco is going to be a factor at the end of this thing. Obviously, Hunter Ray has made his last stop, and at some point here, we're going to see all the leaders have to come to pit lane.
It's just uncanny about the relationship between this track and Andretti Autosport. We'll see if it happens again. We're going to find out in just over 50 laps time.
And somebody we have to compliment is, of course, Ed Carpenter, who's worked his way solidly into the top 5, currently running 4th. We know his teammate has a great car. He stretched his lead to 3 seconds out front as Sebastian Bourdais comes to pit lane.
And they're going to take the opportunity as well to take fresh. They have saved themselves a sticker set of Firestones as well, just like Ryan Hunter-Reay. Oh, the right rear was a little bit on the slow side, but still, that's an 8.2 second stop for Sebastian Bourdais, and he stays in the same sequence. He'll be fine as long as there's not a caution.
Here comes Ed Carpenter, CFH Racing pilot, heads to pit road, and he's coming your way, Katie.
Ed Carpenter started this race in 11th, and he wasn't happy, but he silently worked his way up into the top 5. The team asked him if he wanted changes during this stop. He said he wasn't sure, so they're going to go for a clean stop for Ed Carpenter. Carlos Munoz, meanwhile, said he is actually uncomfortable with this car. He said he just wanted clean stops all day in order to have a success. Kevin?
20-year-old Sage Karam is set to make his final pit stop. He's been running 4th. He's worked his way up to 2nd during this sequence now. Needs a perfect stop. Hits his marks. Sunoco fuel, 4 Firestones. Looking for no mistakes. Karam has been trying to limit those recently, and they do have a bobble. The front right a little slower this time, and it's under green, so a much longer stop for Sage Karam. Katie?
On the last stop, Elio Castroneves' team changed tire pressures instead of giving a front wing adjustment. He also said, guys, remind me to hit this pit speed limiter on the way out because I don't hit it on the way in. Kevin?
Joseph Newgarden in at 50 miles an hour. He's going to have to go around Ryan Briscoe's guys, but they're going to be sportingly, and they're going to move those tires out of the way and make for an easier in for Newgarden. Looking for a final flawless stop for him. We're going to see how they blend back in. You see the front wing adjustment there for Newgarden, so let's keep an eye. As he comes back out, where's he going to come back in with traffic? Here comes Hunter-Reay towards turn 1.
You know, heading into this race tonight, Joseph Newgarden, as here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay's got the momentum. Newgarden will need to build the speed. Coming into this race tonight, Joseph Newgarden had led 8 laps on ovals, period. In the last 7 days, he's led 220.
Well,
Hunter Ray's got hot tires. He was able to make up time by taking those tires earlier, but now the issue, Townsend, is that
on board here with Ed Carpenter, and Ed Carpenter's up to speed very quickly, and he slotted in. It looks like Munoz might have been able to get by, and Ed has to check up almost into the wall as James Jakes comes up high, and that was close. Wow.
The split-second decision-making at 175, 180 miles an hour here at Iowa Speedway. On pit stop rotation, Jack Hawksworth cycles to the top.
Ray Hall right now still fighting back. He's moved his way back into third. Hopefully with this transition of pit stops, he can get himself back on the lead lap if possible.
Yeah, Ray Hall's hoping for a yellow because he currently sits third. He's going to have to pit here pretty soon. He needs one more stop to make it to the end.
Carpenter with the low line move on James Jakes, and easily done after a couple of hairy, scary moments for Ed Carpenter. It'll be interesting to see what happens here as we see the two AJ Foyt cars on the right, Pagenaud in on the left, because Hawksworth was kind of out on his own. When all of those lead lap cars last came in on lap 175, Hawksworth last pitted on 198. He's kind of out on his own.
Yeah, another guy that would be hoping for a yellow would be Jack Hawksworth. The green flag stop is going to put him way back as we go back up front here with Ryan Hunter-Ray, Newgarden chasing him, and this is essentially going to be your battle for the lead.
And exactly what Hunter-Ray needs is the same coaching that Newgarden had. Drive in the mirror, watch where your guy is, make that turbulence tough, and make it hard for the guy in front of you, because if you can wear that guy's tires out, it gives you the advantage later in the run.
Well, he might get some coaching, but he also was on the short end of that stick behind Newgarden, so it's payback time, and he'll be driving that arrow line as difficult as he can for Newgarden trailing behind.
CFH Racing is an acronym for Carpenter, Fisher, Hartman, Wink Hartman, who hails from Wichita, Kansas. That's why Joseph's running the color scheme he is tonight for WSU, Wichita State University. They have a program that they started last year where engineering students from the university can come to this race and spend real time on the job learning and looking at it from the inside out. It's a terrific program. The students find it incredibly valuable. It gives Wink Hartman a feel-good factor as well, and they'll feel extra good if their man can drive to the top of the podium. Troubles for the second place guy in the championship, Scott Dixon, but Ganassi is not giving up. I find myself more often than not saying, can you believe what we're seeing? And here we go. In the dying moments of this race, there is a caution. Takuma Sato clouded the wall and has brought out a late race caution with just over 35 laps to go. And Graham Rahal had just cycled to the top, Kev. This could work out nicely for Graham at this stage of the race.
Minimum at least is going to get him back on the lead lap. They came in and topped off, so they were hoping for a yellow. Now keep in mind, he's been having shifting issues.
Guys, press close the mirror on the back of this thing. Press close the mirror on the back of this thing. Bow air on the back of the GCU. Just try to go, guys. Drop the car on the ground and let's just try to go. It won't go if you're not on the ground.
And GCU is Gearbox Control Unit. That's what they're trying to cool.
And as long as he gets off pit lane like he did there, then he should be okay. He's good to go to the end. He's made up that lap, as Kevin said. He is going to be at the tail end of the leaders, but he's on fresh rubber, and he'll be a hard-charging bull.
I'm surprised that not more guys came and took tires. Like if I was Bourdais, Carpenter, Power, Andretti, I would come get fresh rubber.
Well, they still have a chance.
Yeah.
They still have a chance. The sweepers are out. This could take several laps, and they might just wait until the last opportunity before the restart.
This is what happened to Takuma Sato. Look up there, right at the point where Juan Pablo Montoya went in as well. And
that was very similar to Juan Pablo. Suspension failure is what he said on the radio. The car went straight in, big hit. This is a tough track to tame.
Massive G-forces, G-loads in this section of the track as Marco Andretti is the latest to come to pit road. And Jan, he's been having a nice run in the top 10 tonight. He's a little frustrated, but the car's been good.
He has. You just heard the discussion about front wing, but remember at the last race, that we had, well, 2 races ago in Fontana. He took tires with a lap and a half to go and said he almost won that race. So now he's going to be charging through. The big difference here is there's only a few people who stopped, meaning he has a lot more cars to race through.
It's all setting up. It's setting up beautifully for a 30-lap sprint here in the Iowa Corn 300. Don't go anywhere. Takuma Sato's car being rescued, track being cleaned, as we welcome you back to the Iowa Corn 300. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, Katie Hargett, Jan Beekes, Kevin Lee, Robin Miller. The crew on patrol tonight here in the Heartland, and promising signs for Chip Ganassi fans and Scott Dixon fans. You know, this team just will not give up, and whether it's the immense IndyCar history, NASCAR history, or sports car history, the crew just worked flat out to get that car back out. Big news on the day as we take you through the race recap. Juan Pablo Montoya crashing out on lap 9, and that was the end of his day. Let's scoot ahead to lap 24 and take a look at this. Some frantic action here, and Charlie Kimball was the man in the middle.
Man in the middle with Coletti on the inside. Coletti was able to recover and continue, but had issues later on.
Lap 106. This race has been action-packed. Justin Wilson had to avoid the 2 cars ahead, and he found the wall, PT.
Yeah, just ran up a little bit high on those cars in front of him that were having trouble. Graham right here has been having gearbox trouble, and he has been on fire, coming back twice now. And we have Kanaan also ran into trouble tonight, was dominant in the early part of the race, and then mysterious failure. We don't know the reason, but he's out of the race and was disgusted.
And then Stefano Coletti, watch this, it's just a 4-wheel slide and then gets sent down to the inside wall. Not all that heavy a contact, but it was enough to put him out. And then Scott Dixon sent to the garage. Now listen, folks, and youngsters involved in any kind of sport, that Ganassi team worked all of that time to get Dixon out, and he'll need to do 29 more laps to pass Sato to get just 1 more point. It was worth it. Tonight brings us to the end of 3 ovals in a row, and speaking of 3, we only have 3 races left. Sunday, August 2nd is the next one on the menu. It's the Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. It has been a classic over the years. Remember Scott Dixon coming from last to first to win that race. He loves that track. And we are under our 6th full course caution of the evening. We will be going racing back shortly. Robin Miller is standing by with the driver who brought out this most recent yellow.
Well, Takuma, first of all, you all right?
Yes, I'm good, thanks.
Looked like the same thing happened to you that happened to Juan Montoya earlier. Tell us what happened.
Probably some kind of right front suspension failure, so it's just suddenly pointing on the wrong way, and I was on the passenger, so it's really a shame. I mean, we're running late. It was good, so it's a pity.
All right, well, we're glad you're okay. Lee?
Yeah, and we're looking at that replay. Thank you, Robin, and Takuma's okay, but for his ABC Supply AJ Foyt racing car, he is out of this race. And we welcome you to a shootout here at the Iowa Corn 300. That's what it's going to be.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. If I'm Hunter Ray, it's all or nothing. Second place doesn't matter. He's had such a frustrating year that he is going to fight like he's trying to win the Indianapolis 500. And I don't think it really matters to him whether he finishes second. He's going to go for it, or it's going to be all or nothing, like I said.
Oh, you bet. We've got an American leading in the heartland of America. 4 Americans in the top 5 as we get ready to go green.
And we're ready to see that green flag. You bet. Joseph Newgarden's keen to get going. Carlos Munoz down on the inside of Sage Karam, who gets squeezed up into Tristan Vautier. Let's go racing at Iowa.
A little bit of gamesmanship by Hunter Ray. Backed the field up, and everybody stacked up on top of each other. Karam was the meat in the sandwich, nearly got squeezed by 2 cars.
And we're on board with Ed Carpenter, who's trying to figure out how do I get by Vautier, who's a lap down. He had a big run going. There was just nowhere to go.
Look at the 2 guys out in front. They've taken off. They've got some clear space, some clear track. Then we pick up Jack Holdsworth, who's a lap down. Vautier, who's a lap down. And Munoz is opportunistic. Rahal on the inside. Karam on the inside. On board with Graham now.
And Sage Karam swerved to the inside like he was dodging something in the track, but he was just, looked like he was in a knife fight.
Graham Rahal, who's had gearbox issues, he's been 2 laps down, then he came back to be on the lead lap with 1 lap down. He's back in this race big time.
And with all the trouble Rahal has had all night, he is now second in the points right now and still moving forward on fresh tires.
The Comfort Revolution car for Sage Karam. The's nothing too comfortable about this. Right alongside Ed Carpenter, and look at this.
There's a salute, a one-fingered salute from Ed Carpenter. He did not like that.
He went to the Paul Tracy School of Sign Language. Look at this. Ed Carpenter does not like what he's experiencing.
Oh, he's getting squeezed again. And that will allow Graham to probably come by.
Screaming for a penalty, Ed Carpenter saying, and through at the inside, just whipping by is Graham Rahal.
Graham Rahal, such great racecraft to stay patient while the two cars in front are side by side. Now they're single file, and he's going to have a chance to put those fresh tires to work again.
18 laps to go. Hold on, and hold on tight.
There's going to be some fireworks in the pit lane after this race with Carpenter and Sage. I guarantee you there will be a confrontation.
Sebastian Bourdais on the lead lap, running in 8th, trying to make an impression on Marco Andretti. It does. Takes 7th away. Next one on his list is Carpenter. Whoa, Sage Karam runs Hawksworth high.
Karam is not going to get away with that much longer. He was a very darty, swervy driver at the end of Fontana. It factored heavily into the crash with Briscoe and Hunter Ray, so he's not making a lot of friends right now.
Rahal is coming hard on those fresh tires. Now he's going to chase down Sage, and we'll see what kind of a fight he puts up. And Sage is not making any friends.
Well, you said, and Karam gets loose up ahead. Paul, you said you'd take tires if you could, and that's what Rahal did. Hunter Ray has just over half a second over Newgarden. Munoz is in 3rd, Karam 4th, and we ride with Rahal. Hearing from race control that the restart is under review. That may have been for Carlos Munoz going early on the low line.
I mean, that might just be under review because they want to see great racing. I mean, it's good television there. That restart was crazy.
Graham Rahal is having, and we're not exaggerating, these are his words and these are the facts, his best IndyCar season of his career. It's taken some time to come, but it's now here. And he sits 2nd in the points as we run with 13 laps to go. Karam on Munoz. This is for a top 3.
Both of these two guys are very, very aggressive. I don't think that Munoz will make it easy on Karam. And Karam will definitely put the squeeze on Munoz, so this could be fireworks.
Sage Karam sure is fun to watch, though. He has a loose race car, but he does not lay down. He is going for it, using every inch of the road at the exit.
The big story up front is a former series champ and an Indy 500 winner who has been invisible this year. Ryan Hunter-Reay has shot back into the limelight. There he is. RHR is leading with just over 10 laps to go. He's won 2 of the last 3 years here. Is RHR back? It sure looks like it.
He's got to drive smart, careful, not use these tires too hard. He's worked his way to the front. He looked great right off the trailer, was perfect. Said, I can win this race this weekend, and he's put himself in position, Townsend.
Watching RHR work the gap here with Newgarden, and I've been watching the line that Ryan Hunter-Reay takes through the corner, being so strategic about staying low, watching Newgarden try to stay low behind him, and it looks to me like Newgarden is having a very tough time making up that gap.
They're going to come up upon lap traffic, I would assume, before we get to the end of the race. So Hunter-Reay has got to time things out and not rush up on the lap traffic and get that turbulence and allow Newgarden to get a run at him.
And further back, if Sage Karam can get by Carlos Munoz, here it is right here. It could be an American 1-2-3 sweep of the podium. Karam on the inside of Munoz. Here is the rookie.
Wow.
Squeezing by and just doesn't like that.
I'll tell you what, Ed Carpenter's going to have to go to the podium to find Sage Karam, and that will be even more exciting.
That is an impressive pass. He's been working his outside rear tire so hard. I didn't think he was going to be able to hang on to the low side, but he is proving everybody wrong, and that driving style is going to take him to the front.
And now Rahal has gotten by Munoz as well and closes even closer on Montoya. Now 42 points behind in second place overall on the points.
For so many years, people have been saying, when's the next Michael Andretti? When's the next Jimmy Vasser? When's the next American hero? Well, you've got Americans 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hunter-Reay, Newgarden, Karam, and Rahal.
And Rahal's making me a little bit nervous how high he's running there as the marbles accumulate again on the high side. There's only 4 laps to go.
Andretti Autosport owns this place as far as race results is concerned. The last 5 years in a row, and Ryan Hunter-Reay is just 2.5 laps away from making it 6 years in a row.
Got a little bit of lap traffic and some turbulence a few hundred yards up the road. He's maintaining the gap, driving, checking where his competitor is behind him. 2 laps to go.
Less than 2 miles to break the drought for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Newgarden has run an extremely impressive race. In fact, he's led the most laps, 111. And as the white flag comes out, Ryan Hunter-Reay has less than a mile to run.
Oh, and it looks like Newgarden is closed ever so slightly. He might have a shot with the traffic. No.
1 year ago was Ryan Hunter-Reay's last victory. RHR drives back to victory lane. Hunter-Reay is back after a year basically invisible. Ryan Hunter-Reay stands upon the podium on the very top step and continues this Andretti steamroller here in Iowa. Incredible.
And that voice you heard was Ray Gosselin, and he's still talking to Ryan Hunter-Reay, the engineer and the strategist tonight. You had to be patient, but you kept working on the car. What a fantastic result.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, we've had gorillas on our back, we have monkeys, orangutans, chimpanzees, whole freaking zoo. To win here, a place that it means a lot to Andretti Autosport, to win 6 in a row at this track, it's epic. To break the streak that we've been on with Ryan and win, I can't put into words how great this is right now. So happy for him for sticking with us all year long.
Nice job. Katie?
Ryan Hunter-Reay had 3 wins last year. This year, just 3 top 10s. Michael, what does it mean to you to get back to victory lane today?
It's really huge to get Ryan back up there and keep our streak alive here in Iowa. We love Iowa, man. It's unbelievable. I just can't understand. I don't understand why we're so good here, but it's just so great. I was so happy for him, and all the cars were pretty good. Unfortunately, made a couple bad calls on Marco, but overall though, couldn't be happier. So happy for Ryan.
Why do you guys roll off so good here?
I don't know. Like I said, I wish if we knew, we'd try to do that everywhere. I don't know. We've just had good luck here. We've had good setups here, and our drivers love driving here. Ryan does a great job here, and it just feels great. I'm so happy we got DHL back in victory lane.
Thanks, Michael.
Oh, and look at the emotion on Ryan Hunter-Reay's face. This is huge for he and Becky and their 2 children.
Here we go.
Oh, and here we go. Contrast of emotions here.
I called that. We
Talk
got some
about
crew guys. Crew guys are now coming over to.
Ed Carpenter wants Sage Karam. He is not happy. This is big. He got in a little confrontation with Juan Pablo Montoya last year, but this is. And And we apologize about the language. Obviously, we're live and emotions are running high. And Ed Carpenter saying to Sage Karam, you've got to learn to respect the other drivers on track. He does not like the way that this young rookie has conducted himself today.
Look through some rose-tinted glasses. I saw you drive your team at night, didn't you? If Scott's on, dude, you need to grow up. You keep it cool. Come on.
All right, so not reaching perhaps the pitch that we thought it might get to, but Ed Carpenter keeping his cool in front of the cameras, and I'm sure that they will have further words when our cameras aren't present. That's a side story. This is the story. Ryan Hunter-Reay back in victory lane. How about that? And for Andretti Autosport, it's been a lean year. There's Michael, and he owns and runs the team that has now won 7 of 9 times at this racing venue.
And an American on top. And when's the last time we had 4 Americans? 1, 2, 3, 4 going down to Ray Hall, Ed Carpenter in 6. Guys, we're in the heartland of this country, and Saturday night shootout on a short oval.
I'll tell you what, this is going to save the season for Hunter-Reay. He's had so much disappointment this year. He had such a great year last year, and it's just been frustration after frustration after frustration. You're going to see a guy who's finally breathed a sigh of relief.
A year is a long time to go without a victory.
All right, and Ryan Hunter-Reay, as all this confetti settles, Ryan, when you got out of the car, and of course you're congratulating the crew, because the very first thing that you said when we spoke this weekend is all is right with the world. The way this car rolled off was perfect.
It felt like it, you know. It felt like we had something there. It was certainly going to be tough to beat them today, but man, this number 28 DHL Honda was on rails at the end, and I was driving the snot out of it. It was loose, and I just kept my foot to the floor, and it was barely just having to lift at the end. It was a lot of work in the cockpit. You know, this one we really had to work for. This was a hard one. After such a tough season, it's great to be back in victory lane.
How patient did you have to be? Because when it was loose, you couldn't really stand on it, and each pit stop, they took a half turn out each time, and it collectively got better.
Yeah, you know, in the beginning of the race, the car was really loose, and I had a hard time with it. But this is just amazing, you know, to get in victory circle again with DHL, Auto Nation, Dr. Pepper Snapper, Butterball. You know, they've been behind me for such a long time, and you know, we're having a tough year, but man, we got in victory lane in one of the most competitive seasons. So it was super tough to get this thing here today.
Well, a very tough race, and congratulations to Ryan Hunter-Reay. Victory well earned.
Fantastic victory, and he becomes our 9th different winner this year. Now, I know some of you will be turning on to catch the motocross that was coming up at the top of the hour. We will run a little late here, but we'll get you back to motocross as soon as we can. We're going to finish things off properly here in Iowa on a night to remember, particularly for Ryan Hunter-Reay and Andretti Autosport. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Iowa Corn, our state, our fields, our ethanol. And by DA Lubricant Company, performance-engineered lubricants since 1919. Visit dalube.com.